for way more fun tomorrow.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have the answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
It's almost like betting the stock market. The good part about it is you can take a bet today. In 2 or 3 days, if you nail that bet, you can be able to cash out, Joe. Like you just hit a heavy stock. Like you go into Sun Microsystems or whatever it's called, and you buy into it. In 3 days, you can sell it for a massive profit. Do you understand these markets, Joe?
I do understand the markets. It's amazing how some of the predictive markets seem to have answers before the test.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
8 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Travion Henderson and a few others have the Pats at 9-2. Is excellence back in New England, Joe?
Excellence is back in a big way. Mike Vrabel came back into town. Drake May has come out of his shell, and Travion Henderson has come out of, I don't know where he was. He was in obscurity, but he had 3 touchdowns on Thursday night.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over.
Live on SportsGrid, it is game time decisions. Happy to have you with us here as December gets underway. We are fast approaching 2026. But we are locked in 2025. Week 13, the final game. Kevin Walsh with you here on Game Time. Decisions on SportsGrid. We are on the decisions desk tonight, where we will look to get involved with the 10-2 Patriots and the 2-10 New York Giants. This is a touchdown spread that does have a hook out there in some spots, sitting 7.5. Your total for this one is 46.5. What is on the line for this football game is an interesting question. For the New England Patriots, it is a matter of keeping pace with the Denver Broncos. We'll talk a little bit more about Denver, their Sunday night win, how much of a threat that Broncos team could be in the AFC, in the league conversation as a whole. For the Patriots right now, they sit 10-2. This New England team still actually awaiting their bye week, is going to get it next week, can go right back up to that top spot and be 11-2. A loss here, though, you start to wonder. Buffalo, not too far back. So for New England, it's about continuing to stack victories, and that's exactly what they've been doing. They are red hot. This team has gone out there and won 9 in a row, looking for a 10th straight, and the schedule remains incredibly easy. It is what it is. It is a part of the evaluation process, but it is what it is. For the Giants side, they bring back Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart has missed the last 2 games due to a concussion. And since Dart last played, the Giants fired their head coach. Jackson Dart's not played an NFL game without Brian Dable yet. It's an interesting wrinkle here. Early reports out of New York is you will see less running from Jackson Dart tonight. Maybe 0 designed runs, which had become a big part of the Jackson Dart game plan. Does that mean he won't scramble? Though, I'm not sure. One of the interesting elements of this game tonight for the prop bettors. Dart to run had, been a consistent play. Jackson Dart had 50 or more yards in 5 of 7 starts for the New York Giants. 50. His props are around half of that. So how is New York willing to let their seeming franchise quarterback play? Just the running aspect is going to make Dart. You're stripping that away already. It's a fascinating wrinkle here to Sunday night. I'm not on a side in this game. I have a lean on this total. My best bet tonight, it's a bit of a disgrace. I'm not proud of it. We'll get to it. We're not going to run. We're going to walk. It's there. I'm not proud of it. That is what it is. Listen, the heart wants what the heart wants. Perhaps the heart wants to not only talk, though, about Monday Night Football, but what they saw Sunday and the markets that have moved due to some of the results, including the biggest movement, which is the AFC South, as the Indianapolis Colts had seemingly closed the door on this division weeks ago. The Texans and Jags left for dead. Well, as of today, Colts aren't even in first place in the AFC South. The one-time favorites to win the AFC are holding on for dear life to be favored in their own division. We just saw the Colts number drop in that division again. They're now outside of the top 4 in Indianapolis. Questions now swirling about, could the Colts miss the postseason? It's not as crazy as you might think. We will talk more and more about the markets that have moved throughout the week. If you were not betting the Monday night game, perhaps you're involved with a pretty big NBA slate here. It starts a few 7 o'clock games. The Pistons look to get back on track after their big winning streak was snapped and then followed by a loss in Orlando in Cup play. They grabbed themselves a win in South Beach against the Heat. However, only 3. Cade played well, not perfect, high-scoring affair. What do they have tonight in store for an Atlanta team who's been playing good ball They are on a back-to-back. The Lakers are on a back-to-back as well, still booked as favorites at 4.5. LeBron missed the front end of the back-to-back, so it should be all systems to go here for the back end. Luka Doncic and the LA Lakers are now winners of 7 in a row. The Lakers are this really interesting team when you talk about contenders in this league. The state of this league is the Thunder are in their own tier. They are 20-1. They are chasing greatness. They are chasing records, history, and all of that. And I think it is a slap in the face to the Thunder to suggest the Nuggets or the Rockets or the Knicks are in their tier. So if we can all come to terms on that, the questions that are in the Lakers in that next bucket of team. I think so. We'll see how the season continues to play out. Right now, record-wise, they certainly are. The only team, again, with fewer losses right now than the LA Lakers are the Oklahoma City Thunder. College basketball tonight, pretty light. No ranked teams in action. You do get a little Iona basketball as they are playing at Delaware tonight, a 2.5-point favorite. K-State, Bowling Green, Stanford, Portland, a couple of power-ish programs are in business. But tomorrow, oh boy, we are back at it, the start of the ACC-SEC Challenge. That's not only going to get you Kentucky, North Carolina. It's going to start off with Duke and Florida, which should be awesome. Kansas and UConn play. We've got some conference games in the Big Ten as well. USC, Oregon, Michigan State, Iowa. We're excited to follow all of that. That'll be part of tomorrow's show massively, no doubt. We've got we have great guests lined up for you tonight, but we knock it out next. Monday Night Football, Giants, Pats, best bets, everything that you need after the break on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
It is Game Time Decisions. We're taking a look at your matchup tonight between the New England Patriots and the New York Giants. Two teams in really different spots. I will say this number surprised me quite a bit. I would look towards New England in this game if I was going to play on the number. But I don't know if it's my favorite. It's not my favorite spot of the season. And to lay a touchdown, I'm going to have to really like this situation, I think, a little more than this. I think why this number caught me by surprise is maybe I didn't factor in some of the New England offensive line injuries enough and how that would shape this number. Will Campbell most notably out, their first-round draft pick. But also a seeming bump, I think at least, from odds makers, that Jackson Dart is back under center for Jameis Winston. This will sound like a really big slight, and I don't want it to. But I'm not sure Jackson Dart's an upgrade over Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is capable of having horrific games. He's also capable of having great games. He just so happens to be coming off of one of his great games. And I think what you get from Jackson Dart tonight, again, it could be better, it could be worse. I wouldn't be moving massively. The Pats' most recent home game was against the Jets. And in that football game, they, I think, closed as a 13-point favorite. This is 6 short through key numbers. The Giants were that much better than the Jets? They're not. Again, it's why New England is a bit tempting, but I'm not pushing that direction. I look at this game tonight, and I find myself really interested in both offenses. Mike Kafka is maybe coaching for this job. I think it's ridiculous, but maybe. And he's going to look to continue to put good things on tape. And with Jackson Dart back, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of excitement because there's no better quarterback to hand a job back than Jameis. He's not going to make a mess of it. He's going to be a great teammate about it. And Jackson Dart's going to bring energy to this football team. And if you want to attack the Patriots, you're more likely to attack through the air, especially as it pertains to touchdowns. The splits for New England, where they allow touchdowns, is as fierce as any team in football. The New England Patriots have allowed 20 passing touchdowns, closer to the bottom of the league, actually. Compare that to just 4 rushing touchdowns allowed on the season. I think Jackson Dart could throw 1, 2. If this game's a shootout, maybe 3 touchdowns. Well, what about Drake May? Doesn't go tonight again with some offensive line injuries. I don't think the Patriots are going to just hand it off every play. I am sure there is going to be some who have that expectation. Maybe I am zagging too hard. It's possible. Offensive line injuries, by far and away, the worst run defense in the league, by far. Just hand it off to Trevion, hand it off to Ramondre, let them do their work. I don't think the Pats are going to want to, no pun intended, run from the problem. I think they're going to want to get Drake May, just make sure he stays in a rhythm, right? Drake May all of a sudden turning the football over a little more than you'd like. Interception in 4 of his last 5. Consecutive games without multiple passing touchdowns. I think they're going to want Drake May to have himself a great game. Not in spite of a win, but while winning. Let's not forget that MVP conversation opens right back up with Matt Stafford's loss and 3 turnover football game, including a pick 6 and the losing fumble against the Carolina Panthers. So Drake May, with a great game here tonight, I think gets himself back as the favorite in the market. Whether he wins or not, again, that's a debate. So I've paired some Drake to throw 2, Dart to throw 1 parlays, okay? But we're not going to throw that out as a best bet. I think it's definitely a way you can look. Maybe tag it with Stephon Diggs for 3 receptions. I think Diggs is in line for a nice game here tonight. I do. We do have the King of the End Zone promo going on right now from DraftKings. I use Diggs there. Maybe he catches the long touchdown. I'm more so banking on Diggs to find the end zone in the game. But what I went for, oh boy, I don't even know how many books have it. It's not my best work. I hope it wins. Total touchdown yardage over 75.5. I think these teams are full of explosives. The Giants can give it up on the ground, certainly, but I expect Drake May to throw it. The further the passing touchdown, the more passing touchdowns, more yards, right? I expect passing. I expect more passing touchdowns here. And I think when you look at the way Jameis was playing, right, very aggressive, but a lot of the aerial assault, I think that's more what you see from Jackson Dart. So I like over touchdown yardage. Chris is going to go to Pat's first half team total over 13.5. That's about as expensive a best bet as you'll find from Chris. You got to imagine that that's parlayed with something. You have to. Now sources are coming in. It's not minus 138. Interesting. Minus 113 are the actual odds. All right. Apparently, big disparity out there. Shop around. Giants over 2.5 sacks, minus 120. Look at this gimmick. This guy, Mr. Sack, all of a sudden, thinks he's Santa Claus. Unbelievable. AJ, right where you need him, Middle Tennessee money line. Let's see who they're playing tonight. Better not be the Gales. I know they're not playing the Gales. AJ would never do that to me. He's a good friend. Let's take a look here. Middle Tennessee. UAB. Shout out the UAB football program. 39 players listed out, some because of a stabbing. They got themselves a big win. I don't know if I would want to get in front of that train. The athletic program's having a moment. The Blazers. We'll root it in, though. Middle Tennessee money line. Anybody want to satellite in a best bet in this Troy West Georgia game? That group back there used to have some sizzles and some ugly ones. I need a Troy West Georgia best bet. We'll be right back on.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back right here on SportsGrid, behind the glass, as some would call it. We get dueling thoughts on Troy, West Georgia, and they're just really thoughts on JMU Troy. That's really all it is. Speaking of college football, obviously the Lane Kiffin story dominating headlines there. I always love when stories I think sometimes you can get a grasp on how big a story is when the sports books are like, hey, let's give them something to get involved with. LSU's win total's out as Lane Kiffin now takes over. That's 9.5. Well juiced to the under, though, actually, on that number. They also, I believe, posted the game when Lane is going to go back to Ole Miss next year at basically pick. We unanimously agree that 58.5 looks light. Looks light. I'm not betting it because the game is legitimately a year away. However, Lane Kiffin left LSU or Ole Miss because he's like, at LSU, obviously, better players, better chance to win. Coaches leave, and sometimes the disarray, right? The portal, it's a mess. It's on the board that LSU is like a 14-point favorite a year from now against them. Not a year, but like you get 11 months. Cut it out, Hammers. I'm just saying, if there ever was some value a year out, that could be it. Other college football update. Penn State, remember them? They still need a coach. Penn State, by the way, got bowl eligible on Rutgers' head. Rutgers should also need a head coach for anybody interested in some local reporting. Goodness me, they stink. BYU's lead man, Sataki, in the race and trending as a favorite. Those numbers are moving more and more aggressively as BYU's head coach could be the guy, which maybe sets up BYU even more to lose a conference championship game to Texas Tech and then have no chance to get themselves into the college football playoff, which does give me one quick opportunity to give a little bit of advice to the Big 12. When you are the Big 12 commissioner, trying to campaign for multiple Big 12 teams to get in, choose your battles wisely. Don't go head-to-head with Notre Dame, who's one of the 4 best teams in the country. That's a problem Miami's been making for months. Go for the 17 SEC teams they're trying to get in. That's all. Miami found this out about 16 hours ago. They're like, maybe we should attack the OU resume. And now that's all over. Every week, the committee ranks Notre Dame 9th, 8th, 10th, despite being one of the 5 best teams in the country. And people are like, that's an outrage. They should be lower. You're embarrassing yourselves. The AP poll is a thing. It's got about 130 voters. Notre Dame has been ahead of Miami in it for a month. It's not committee bias. Little advice for the good people over there in the Big 12 trying to get 2 in as a 6-6 Big 10 team's about to snag your head coach. How about a primetime producer parlay? Let's look at this. DeMario Douglas, 15. That's under the hat. Trevion Henderson, anytime score. That's under the hat. Tyrone Tracy, 20-plus receiving yards. That's a hat trick. I didn't hear about not one of these bets. Not one. Not one until the graphic came up. I've been here for 4.5 hours. I hear about Hodgins, Theo Johnson. I was getting future James Cook bets for next week against Cincinnati. I got a JMU team total rush yards for the season 2028. I didn't hear about one of these. You got to be kidding me. All right, so that's what it is then. That's what it is. Maybe I'm the poison. I guess we'll find out. We got Tom Vecchio batting leadoff. Next on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
He
said
got
earlier.
hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Walsh here, a.k.a. No. Game time decisions. Mr. Game Time Decisions. That's what like the decision maker. The decision maker. A.k.a. Tom Vecchio's best friend. I mean, listen, you can't see me without seeing Tom Vecchio. Look at this guy. How are we doing, Tom?
Good. Long time no talk. We got Mr. Balance over here. We got people all over the place. I think we're in, as I said before, we're in for a really exciting game tonight. And the part that I find the most interesting is that the Pats have a 27.5 team total. Let's call it 3-4 touchdowns. And when we look at the touchdown odds, only Trevion Henderson is sitting at minus money. Everyone else is at plus money. So there's going to be some nice wins tonight, I think.
Yeah, there's going to be some opportunities down the board. I think it's a good point by you. I wanted to ask you, though, Tom, because, you and I, we got to do Pro Football Today together. We were able to go through a lot of different stuff. And but I think there's a couple of things that we can maybe kind of dive in a little bit more, right? But we also didn't get to talk a ton about what we saw on Thursday and Friday. We wanted to keep it to Sunday. So I wanted to ask you about the Packers-Lions game, because Green Bay is a team, if I were to get back involved in the Super Bowl market, would be near the top of options. Now, it's very possible I've just missed out on the best of number because I wasn't willing to play it pre-Detroit game. I know one book, they're under 10-1, third best odds. So, again, that absolutely could mess me up. But this Packers team, I think, is capable of a run. I think they've got an outside shot at the 1 seed. I think I got a decent shot at the 2 seed. I really do, over Philly now. That tie might work in their favor. How do you view Green Bay after watching this team through 12 games?
I would say when I think of Green Bay, I think of, Jordan Love, obviously, in the offensive side of the ball, and he's got this myriad of options, and they're good at times. Sometimes they look inefficient. Sometimes the play calling's a little bit weird. I am hopeful that just the raw talent that they have will eventually burst through, and then there won't be any defense that's going to be able to stop them. I am hoping that when Golden and Reed come back, and we have an offense that's getting healthier as the end of the season comes along, which is not something we say for a lot of teams, between Dobbs, Wicks, Watson, Reed, and Golden, and Jacobs in the backfield, like what offense can stop all these players? So as long as there's a sustained level of offensive push down the field, that's going to be enough when you have the defense. So the defense, I'm going to etch in stone every week, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. It really comes down to the offense, because when you have this many options, the offense it's unacceptable for an offense to be inefficient and ineffective when you can have a rotation of receivers that no other defense can stop. The deep ball threat with Watson, this guy underneath, Jacobs coming out of the backfield. You have this many options, it has to be good, or it's a play calling issue.
Yeah, I think what held me back on them preseason and throughout the year is I'm not the biggest believer in LaFleur and Love. I think the Love stuff is largely accepted, but I think you maybe alluded to some Matt LaFleur questions, which I haven't seen until recently, but they've always been there. LaFleur was a 1 seed with Rodgers multiple times, and they didn't represent the NFC. Everyone wanted to blame Rodgers because Rodgers found himself kind of being unlikable, and I think also being a legend, you sometimes have to wear the blame, which is fine, right? But it let LaFleur off the hook. LaFleur last year went to Philly, right? A lot of people spent a lot of time trying to poke holes in the Eagles. I understand they ended up, kind of going on a dominant postseason run. Offense scored 10 points, right? So I think there are more questions for Green Bay that at the new number, it's going to be harder for me to get to, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you land on Denver? Because there's a couple different ways to back Denver, but I want your outlook on this football team as they grabbed themselves another win last night against Washington.
Much of the same that I said about the Packers could be used to an extent with Denver. I think their defense is awesome, right? A top 3 unit in the league, essentially. But the mistakes that we see from Bo Nix, and when Bo Nix looks bad, I don't know how else to describe it and say they look like a lottery team. I know the NFL draft doesn't have a lottery, but I almost view them as like they look like they're trying to tank games. They look like they're trying to be inefficient. They got the ball last night in the fourth quarter, and they ran a 3-play, 6-yard, 19-second drive when you were up with the lead. What are we doing here? You need to take a minimum of 80 seconds off the clock. When Washington calls a timeout last night, and then Sean Payton wastes a timeout, calling one right after that. You are wasting timeouts. Bo Nix, at times, when he looks bad, they look terrible. I'm not worried about the defense. When you have to scratch to get a win against the Jets, do the same thing against the Giants, the same thing versus the Commanders, there's some type of underlying issue. So it's either Sean Payton or it's Bo Nix or it's both of them, because there's enough talent on that roster, even without J.K. Dobbins, that they should be able to move the ball down the field effectively, score 20 points a game, and rely on their defense. And when you face a weak opponent, that's where you push closer to 30, because they look terrible at times when you have 6 passing yards through a quarter and a half versus the Texans a couple weeks ago.
So I think all of that's really fair. And Denver interests me because we all agree what the defense is. And so Sean Payton, since coming back to Denver, has not lost following a bye week. This team was plus 120 to be the 1 seed. So if Sean Payton can keep that alive, that means they're going to host the AFC Championship game if they can get the number 1 seed. The interesting thing, though, and a number that I've played and has actually worked against me, and I legitimately don't know why, is Sean Payton to win Coach of the Year. I cannot understand a situation less. Maybe people would say, well, it's because all credit to the defense. But no one thinks the quarterback's good. And yet we've seen the quarterback have big moments. They're winning with this quarterback. They are set up to stop the Chiefs' reign over the AFC West. And let's be clear, they didn't get help in doing that. It was Broncos, Chiefs, head-to-head. Kansas City off their bye. If the Chiefs won, they would have been minus money to win the West. Denver got him. I'm not saying Sean Payton should be the favorite. He's 45 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
McVay is a shorter number. What? Steichen, shorter number. Where? Canales. Mike Vrabel is minus 180.
Mm-hmm.
His Pats are plus 120 for the 1 seed. Sean Payton's are the same number. What am I missing, Tom?
Well, you're missing the fact that last year, and listen, I don't have any position on any season-long award, so this is just me talking. Last year, Denver was a playoff team, so the expectation is that they're a playoff team. They have the reigning defensive player of the year in Pat Surtain. They have some of the best defensive players, across the league on that unit. Vrabel comes in as not a first-year head coach, but the first year with a team with a second-year quarterback, and whose preseason win total was what? 5.5, 4.5, jumps up to 6.5. They're in position to hold the 1 seed. So just the improvement year to year, I think that is what's drawing in. What Canales is doing with the Panthers in position for playoffs, I understand. What McVay is doing, just because he has the pedigree, is also going to be there. Broncos were in the playoffs last year. They have an awesome defense. It's like, you should be there. So I don't think that there's a narrative or a storyline to buy into compared to what Vrabel has.
But don't we think that going from, they were the 7th seed and nobody thought they were any threat. They won 10 games. Going from that to a potential 13, 14 win team is, I think, as impressive a leap. Also, if Drake May's the MVP, Vrabel can't be coach of the year. Pretty simple. Let's talk about Pats Giants next after the break on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Darren Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
He
said
got
earlier.
hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on SportsGrid. It's a Monday night. Kevin Walsh joined by Tom Vecchio, taking a look at the matchup here between the Giants and the Patriots. Tom, you mentioned the intrigue for New England touchdown scorers due to a high team total, but good plus money options. Who are you really keying in on in this spot?
Immediately, I would look to Hunter Henry at plus 200, plus 210, wherever you can find it. I like the matchup that he has. I like his role in the offense, and I like the fact that he leads the team with a 31% red zone share, which is good to see, and also a 12% end zone share. Obviously, just a slight difference overall. He's been super consistent in the offense, and part of the issue I have, and I think this is also part of why we see so many plus numbers on the Pats, is the Pats have like really good options. They don't have one dominant option. They have a really stable cast of characters that you can look to Henderson. We know Ramondre's back. You can look to Diggs. You can look to Hunter Henry. You could look to Demario Douglas. You could look to Keyshawn. Like, they have really solid options. That's why it's hard to nail one down. But I like Hunter Henry the most. I like the role that he plays when they get to the scoring area and the connection that he has with Drake May. It's that simple.
Yeah, I'm looking for passing touchdowns within this football game. It's kind of a big part of how I'm looking to play it there. Now, Trevion could catch a touchdown. We know he's capable of that. We've seen it. I think he did it in the game against the Jets. So that could be a direction there. The price on May is incredibly expensive. If you play at a book that offers over total passing touchdowns, that's certainly tempting in my eyes. I've played a little Dart to throw 1, May to throw 2 heading into this game, which I think is a little bit interesting. What are you looking for on the Giants side of this game, Tom, if anything?
That's going to be going to Theo Johnson for over 32.5 receiving yards. Again, I like the role. I like the connection that he has since Jackson Dart took over. And, we are dealing with different sample sizes, especially in recent games when Jameis was there. They changed coaches or play calling. There's so many different factors to look at when it comes to the Giants, just because, the sample size isn't consistent. But, seeing 4+ targets is strong for Theo Johnson. Seeing that the Pats have allowed the 7th most receiving yards to opposing tight ends, I like. This is I'm not going to say a full-on passing game script for the Giants, as the spread would indicate that they're going to be down by a full score, that they're going to need to pass the ball. Also, we see the Pats with a very strong run defense. I just don't know how much success the Giants will have on the ground, thus they'll turn to the air. I think Wan'Dale Robinson is the number 1 receiver at this point, but that's kind of like a really public line. People bet into that line just because of the recent performances he's had, and I just don't like it.
So there's an interesting, Tom, I know that you, along with everybody, were interested in the Hurts rush attempts the night they played Green Bay because of the tush push, right? I don't know if you ended up playing any of them, but, I know it was a conversation that a lot of people had. Now, this isn't apples to apples, but Jackson Dart tonight returns to the lineup following a concussion that knocked him out for 2 games. And there's a question as to whether or not we're going to see Jackson Dart run. There was an ESPN report that said they were not expecting the Giants to call many, if any, designed runs for Jackson Dart. And a source had told them that one offensive player didn't expect design runs within this week's game plan. Would you take that and then play Dart under attempts, under yards, leave the whole thing alone?
I think it would have to be, obviously there's some of his coach speak, but I really don't think that they're going to put him in a position. And it's not just that he was in, missed multiple games of concussion. How many times did we see that he went into the blue medical tent weeks prior and then Dable tries to pull him out? So the optics around it are bad. So I would play under yards. It would be under or stay away. I would not play the over. That's just the way I would look at it. That's why I talked to you before. I had some interest in Dart under passing attempts just because I didn't think they would want him dropping back, because if he does drop back, that does put him under pressure to get hit, to have to scramble, to do those sorts of things. I would play under or just completely stay away. And we're going to find out really early. I think we're going to find out really early in this game whether or not that those reports are actually true.
Yeah, so to me, what I think's really tempting is they're going to say, hey, Jackson, play it smart, play it cool, right? But you can't stop him from scrambling, right?
Right.
And I think game script can lead to a player scrambling, which is trailing.
Right.
So I am going to look for his rushing yards live. I see no reason to play it pregame. If he has a 20-yard run on the first play, I mean, good for him, right? I didn't see that coming. If they're leading, right, that's not as interesting to me. What is interesting is a world where Jackson Dart is having to drop back again and again and again, and eventually he's like, I'm just going to take off. I think that is the most interesting way, Tom, to play him here.
Right. And this is something I was thinking about when it comes to Baker, sometimes Baker overall, but specifically Baker yesterday coming off the AC joint sprain in his left shoulder. Like, the game script and rational thinking would not have him running and then therefore exposed to taking extra hits or more hits or any hits on his shoulder. But again, game script, and because he's under pressure, will force him out of the pocket. It's not as if they're designed runs. It's because he literally just has to get out of the way.
This is a it's so interesting though, Tom, because I do feel like the running is what has given a lot of people in New York a lot of belief that this is the guy. It's a big part of what he does, right? I don't think Tom, tell me, have you heard people be like, oh, Jackson Dart, best drop back passer in football? That's not what it's about. It's about his ability to scramble.
So hopefully with the coaching change and going forward really throughout his career, it's just going to be a teaching moment of protect yourself, slide, do this, that, avoid hits. Because you don't want to take away an element of his game and the offense's potential overall with him rushing. You want him to then protect himself. And that's where the learning can come from. So maybe we see it develop where he just doesn't run a whole lot tonight. And then week by week, he gets a little bit better, a little bit smarter, a little bit safer. And then that's where he becomes a true threat. And he can break off 50-yard games because he's actually learning how to do it.
Yeah. Tom, I appreciate it. As always, it's been a really fun day. We did the pro football today. It was great stuff. I'm sure you guys will see the replay. Tom, again, great stuff. We're going to update the live board for everybody here. We've got Adam Compton on deck as well. We'll be right back on.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
But really, listen, guys, I love being here, but distracting sometimes. I'll host a show. Iona's playing. That's crazy. I didn't even know the score. That's a little, come on. What's the deal here? 20-19. Do we have a lead early? Were we trailing? Largest lead 4. Whoa, biggest deficit 3. Got to track. All right? We got to track any and all Gales games. Happy to be with you here. on Game Time decisions. What else are we tracking? NBA live at a couple of spots right now. Early, Cleveland, Indiana, Milwaukee, Washington, Detroit, and Atlanta. Still some interesting games to come. I was taking a look at the Nikola Jokic options here tonight. Joker, consecutive games with 9 rebounds. You don't see that a lot from Nikola Jokic. It only happened twice last year where he had back-to-back games without 10 rebounds. He had 13, I think, exactly in the follow-up of both of those games. His rebounds prop is big time tonight. As far as Joker going this season, consecutive games without a triple-double, we've seen that a few times. It hasn't happened in 3 straight, so you could certainly make a case for playing the triple-double here against Dallas. I'm not mad at that. Not the cheapest number under the sun, but still, you see the spot. It jumps off the page a little bit. Interesting one to follow as well, Orlando and Chicago. When you look at the number, and I know it's, not the healthiest Chicago's been all season, but Paolo's still injured for the Magic. It just shows how much Orlando's really turned the corner from those early season struggles, as well as the Bulls coming back to reality, right? This is a Magic team that actually had settled in at 4-6 and now find themselves 12-8. Is there a case to be made that all of this winning, kind of surging as Paolo got injured? I don't know. It's interesting. A little bit. You remember we spent years hearing, asking, wondering, did Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum work next to one another? And some of that was because they were both really good. So that team not being able to break through and win quicker got us to that point. But ultimately, you probably knew, they were fine, and they figured it out, and they won a championship, and it was great. Orlando's combination of Franz and Paolo is probably not popular enough or successful enough, actually, to breed the conversation, but there's going to be a conversation at some point if they can't figure it out in Orlando. And again, people are like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? They're on a big win streak. Yeah, Paolo's been out. Paolo missed a lot of time last year. They're in a weird spot. It's a long season. But don't forget, I'm sure there's a part of your brain's like, it's the Magic, man. What do you want from them? Oh, you mean the team that had the third best odds to win the East coming into the season? I mean, they need to perform to the level. The Magic must win a playoff round. And we'll see what the bracket looks like. But that's what the expectations are, undeniably, for the Orlando Magic. More Magic talk than I expected, but sometimes that's where you end up. Houston tonight's going to go to Utah. They're going to lay a big number. Kevin Durant's back. KD had missed a couple for Houston. He returned in the most recent game against Utah, and is just right back to it. 10 of 14 from the field, 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. So we'll see what he has in store. And then LeBron back to the lineup tonight for the Lakers. It's interesting how they play it, right? Having LeBron miss the New Orleans game, you're front end of the back-to-back. I mean, it's smart, right? Front end is easier to win than the back end. And if LeBron's only going to play one of those, which he is, you play him for the second. That's good coaching. That's good management. That's good communication. Lakers are looking for their 8th consecutive win. Playing a Suns team that's been good. Devin Booker has been really good this year, trending towards an all-star. Luka Doncic trying to keep pace in this MVP race. It's going to be hard, though. It really is. You guys know I played Giannis, and I'd love to pump up the Giannis case. The numbers are brilliant. He's by far and away the best player on the team, and there's a little bit of that, dragging the squad quality. He's missed time. They're 9-12. It's not a thing. And the reality is the top of the race is too tough. Shea is the reigning MVP on a 20-1 basketball team, and the Jokic numbers are out of this world. It's on the board that Shea needs to win 70 games in order to win MVP. The fortunate thing for Shea is the Thunder have shorter odds to win 70 games than Shea does to win MVP. We're going to talk more about Monday Night Football with Adam Kaufman after a quick break right here on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League.
Yep.
So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
He
said
got hit
earlier.
behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Line. Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing
No
is,
surprise.
Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions live with you guys on a Monday night. We got a bit of a treat here in store. It's our guy Adam Kaufman stopping by. Not just on any Monday night, but the New England Patriots in action against the New York Giants. It should be a fun one to follow. Adam, we appreciate you making some time.
You say a treat like I'm not around anytime you ask. Anytime you want to talk, buddy, I'm right here for you. But yeah, it's a little extra special with the Patriots in action trying to reclaim the top seed and top record in the NFL. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I am wondering how you feel, Adam, about the spot tonight. 7.5 point spread here for New England. Jackson Dart, I think, getting respect in the market. It looks like this number would probably be higher if Jameis was under center, but instead it's going to be Jackson Dart going for the G-men. Injuries to this Patriots offensive line. What do you make of this game?
Well, I certainly think the Patriots win, and that's just a factor of being home, being the superior team. I realize there are the injuries along the offensive line, as you mentioned, but it's not a great pass rush by the Giants. It's certainly not a high-caliber defense. I don't think anybody would argue a team that has won 9 straight and now at home against a team that has dropped, 6 in a row or 7 in a row coming in the Giants. This should be a Patriots game. That being said, if I were inclined to bet the spread, and candidly, I'm not, I probably would have, teased the Patriots down during the week with another team that I liked and approached it that way. But, with that not available to you at this point, unless you wanted to also tease the total or something like that, I would be inclined to take the points with the Giants. And part of that is the Patriots don't tend to necessarily blow doors against teams, as we've seen the Giants do hang around more often than not, and even occasionally surprise in some of these games. I do think, and I've been talking about this a little bit, and maybe this is just feel, and I don't have the good numbers to back it up, but had Jameis Winston been starting, there's a part of me that would have actually been a little more scared about that than Jackson Dart coming off the concussion with no real weapons around him outside of, I suppose, Wan'Dale Robinson and Theo Johnson to some degree, certainly not the run game with how good that Patriots rush defense is. The only real reason I think about the +7, +7.5 on the Giants side is just what we've seen here in week 13. And you've broken it down extensively, I'm sure, but it's been a mess. And, the number of dogs that have covered or won outright. And of course, you think about the Ravens being a touchdown favorite, losing outright. The Eagles being a touchdown favorite, losing outright. The Rams in Carolina being favored by double figures, losing outright. And there are so many other dogs that either covered and won or just covered along the way that, man, you feel hesitant to lay a big number even with a home favorite.
Yeah, to your point, due to it being Thanksgiving, we've already had 5 primetime games, and the Commanders were the first primetime dog to not win the game, yet still obviously covering with the 2-point conversion decision there. So it puts New England, again, it shows it's this time of year, though, where teams are going to get God, right? Nobody goes perfect. That's kind of the reality. We can always line up these games and these schedules, and it's easy, but teams lose all the time, right? And teams lose games sometimes against good teams, and we can debate if teams are good. Oh, the Bears, are they good? Are the Cowboys good? But sometimes it's bad teams. Like when Buffalo lost to Miami, right? Like that, those things happen all of the time. Do you think there is any pressure, if you will, on New England, though? Because, be a 10th in a row. The hype around this football team, I remember when they got the win over Buffalo, I think you and I actually maybe spoke prior to the game. And I was like, man, what kind of heater would they need to get on to be favorites in the division? Let's be very clear. If New England doesn't win this division, it'd be a ginormous failure for how this season is now set up. It's a spot you never would have actually thought to be in, but it's where they are.
It's definitely their division to lose. I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's not a tough schedule down the stretch of the season. Obviously, this should be a win. Then you're talking 10 in a row, sitting at 11-2, going into your bye week. You come back home against the Bills. Not an easy matchup. Absolutely a losable game. Revenge narrative on the part of Buffalo after you win in Buffalo in prime time, as you said, much earlier in the season. Then you have to go to Baltimore, also a tough spot against a Ravens team that could be fighting for its playoff life still at that point. So it's not crazy to say, hey, Patriots win tonight, lose their next 2. But then you get down to the final 2 games, and it's the Dolphins and it's the Jets. And those are just, I know Miami's been better of late, and the Jets had that surprising walk-off win yesterday. But those are 2 games that really you should be winning. And honestly, at that point, the conversation, if we're talking prior to one of those games, should be around the Patriots' contention for the number 1 overall seed and a first-round bye and a fight with the Broncos. Not about whether or not the Bills are going to catch them, even if they do win that remaining head-to-head. So as far as pressure, I just think this team is kind of playing with house money. I mean, going into the year, and I was someone who was higher on the Patriots, and higher on the Patriots by definition this year meant 9 wins, 10 wins, wild card playoff team. It certainly didn't mean 10-2, 11-2, leading the division, flirting for the top seed in the conference. I mean, a lot of people, and as you know, I'm in the greater Boston area. Most people coming into the season, I was an outlier. Most people said, man, if this team wins 7 games this year, in year 1 of Drake May starting full time, in year 1 of Mike Vrabel building his culture and introducing his program and all of that, you've nearly doubled your win total from each of the previous 2 years, individually at 4 under Belichick, 4 under Mayo. And then if you got 7 under Vrabel, that's a win. That's a growth year. That's a great situation. And for them to be doing what they're doing right now, I don't think they feel the pressure. I think they are enjoying the moment, obviously internally believing in themselves and trying to go out there and kind of shock the NFL world. And it's just such a wide open league right now, not just the AFC, the league. And I might have, if that Rams game went differently, I might have come on here and said, okay, LA's the class of the NFL, certainly the class of the NFC, and from there, who's sort of angling to either knock them off or represent the AFC to go against them in the Super Bowl. You lose in Carolina doesn't mean you're not still the favorite, and I know betting-wise they are, but it does introduce questions to where there is just no juggernaut in the league this year. There isn't, with Lamar down, Allen down, Mahomes down, Herbert hurt. You look over on the other side, there's no clear number one. There just isn't. And so I think the Patriots internally are really believing, hey, why not us?
To Adam's point about the Rams specifically, I've heard people say, and I agree, it's an open league. Then what are we doing with the Rams number? They can be the favorites, but the Rams might end up the 5th or 6th seed because it is more likely for the Rams to be a wild card team significantly than the New England Patriots via the odds. That's what it tells us, right? So you're not Super Bowl. Again, we talked about this with Kansas City. I feel like I'm going crazy. It's like deja vu every week. These numbers, they just get so out of hand. I think what happens a little bit, Adam, is it's unknown. The thing is, people don't actually like not knowing what's going on. We say, oh, I love a wide open league. No, everyone gets scared, right? Because they have nothing to lean on. So the Rams had a glimpse of, the dominant Rams, who the week prior won by 2 against a team who threw 4 interceptions and had a field goal to win it. And like, it's the Rams league. Good luck. Stafford Hall of Fame. McVay the greatest we've ever seen. Verse. No. All of a sudden, the Rams are vulnerable. And if they're the 5 seed, they're not the favorites. That's pretty simple. That's pretty simple. I got hot for no reason. That's what it sounds like when I agree with someone. We're going to ask a multiple choice question to Adam Kaufman next. I think he'll have the answer for us.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
He
said earlier.
got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions on SportsGrid. A multiple choice question for our guy, Adam Kaufman. You can play along as well. Option A, Drake May wins MVP. Option B, Mike Vrabel wins Coach of the Year. Option C, both. Option D, sorry, New England, neither. Which one feels like the right answer to you, Adam?
All right. Well, I'm going to remove neither from the equation, and I don't think I'm being a homer in saying that. It's just if the Patriots finish as the number 1 seed in the AFC, or even just comfortably win their division and maybe lose out on the top seed to Denver or something, I don't see it's Mike Vrabel's award to lose. I mean, again, we were just talking about it. Who could have possibly predicted this out of New England this year? So it's not to say there aren't others. Ben Johnson, a viable candidate. It looked like Shane Steichen for a while before the Colts kind of started their fall off. And boy, if this team actually missed the playoffs, what a story that would be. There aren't too many great contenders for the award, honestly. I mean, like Schottenheimer, you're not going to give it to him. Dallas isn't going to make the playoffs, despite what they're doing right now. So, I mean, really, and I haven't looked at the odds board, you could tell me, I'm sure Vrabel's the runaway favorite on this one at the moment. And then maybe Ben Johnson second on the board. I think Vrabel does win the award. So whether it's Vrabel versus both, the both becomes interesting. And I just think this thing is going to really kind of jockey around at this point, Kev, week to week, depending on team and more so individual performance. Matt Stafford going into the week was a fairly comfortable favorite to win MVP. And then he goes out, Rams losing Carolina. He's picked off multiple times, and he's still the favorite, but marginally over Drake May. May goes out, has a good game in primetime tonight. They win the game. He's going to be the favorite. That's just how it works. And so if, there's a path here. I know there's a lot of anti-New England, anti-Patriot sentiment that goes around nationally, but I think a lot of that was really attached to Bill Belichick. Nobody dislikes Mike Vrabel. Nobody. And other than Amy Adams Strunk, nobody dislikes Mike Vrabel. And generally speaking, I don't think anybody, other than Stephen A. Smith, dislikes Drake May. A lot of people don't even know all that much about Drake May. So if this Patriots team, after not being a playoff team since 21, goes a few years of kind of being in the toilet, and all of a sudden is the 1 seed in the AFC, at the very least wins its division, you're a quarterback, which is kind of a prerequisite for the award these days, and again, baseline a division winner. You got to be a QB, you got to be a division winner, and then from there, it's what other narratives are you attaching to it. And second-year QB, second-year guy, there have only been, 4 second-year quarterbacks to win this award? Lamar did it, and Marino did it, Mahomes did it. I think Kurt Warner's the only other one. So that, the fact that it doesn't happen all that often could go in his favor. And it's oh, this is unique. This is fun. And also, again, just sort of pulling the Patriots, this once great dynasty for 2 decades, kind of out of the toilet where they've been for the last few years. I think voters may look favorably upon that. And that's not to say voters don't like someone like Matthew Stafford. I mean, that's a very easy guy to give an MVP award to. But it's not going to be Allen. It's not going to be Lamar. It's certainly not going to be Jonathan Taylor. It's not going to be these guys. So unless somebody really drops off, like we saw kind of earlier on in the season with a Baker Mayfield, obviously, Dak is on the board there. Jordan Love, I don't think either of these guys are getting the award. Just personal opinion. Obviously, the odds currently reflect that. I think right now, I would say both. To long-winded answer your question. Right now, here today, December 1st, I would say May is the MVP, Vrabel's the coach of the year. But I will leave room that the MVP could change, obviously, depending on performance in the weeks to come. I don't see how Vrabel loses this award without the Patriots completely falling apart.
Where I will be super agreeable is, eliminating neither. I think that would be a sizable upset. But I would simultaneously eliminate both because I don't understand how both are true. How is Vrabel coach of the year? How is Drake May MVP? I don't. What's the math on that? I'm not. They're not runaway the best team in football, right? Especially if they're not the 1 seed. They're certainly not perception-wise. I think they'd have to be perception-wise to do the double.
That's fine.
Andy Reid doesn't even get in conversations to win Coach of the Year because all credit goes to Pat, right?
Sure.
Caleb Williams, despite being 9-3, sophomore quarterback, has no chance to win league MVP. All credit goes to Ben Johnson, who seemingly might be the only threat to Mike Vrabel. I'm not following. What would they be without Mike Vrabel? 3 wins. What would they be without Drake May? 3 wins. I don't know how those two coexist.
Yeah, I was just pulling up to see how many times Andy Reid won Coach of the Year. Just the once, all the way back in 2002. So you're right. I mean, that's interesting at the very least, obviously. But yeah, I mean, they certainly don't. I just think these things don't happen without one another, right? Like we saw, and it wasn't the same. And obviously he was a rookie, and he wasn't the full-time starter. Jacoby Brissett began the year at quarterback for the Patriots, but May did, get into 10 games or so last year as a rookie, and it didn't look like this. Now, some of that is sophomore year and maturity, increased weapons. Obviously, he's got some better players around him than he did last year, albeit not by a great margin. Stephon Diggs is a much better player than I guess a lot of what he had around him last year, but he's not your bona fide number one. It's just, I don't think if Gerard Mayo was still the coach of this team, the performance is not close for Drake May or for the team. You need the Mike Vrabel factor. Much the same is if you had, Josh Dobbs, the backup, starting at quarterback for this Patriots team. They're not sitting at 10-2 either. So there's only so much Vrabel is doing on his own as well.
The one interesting thing is, and this would cost me because I played Robert Saleh to win Assistant Coach of the Year, and I think the right answer is potentially Josh McDaniels for Assistant Coach of the Year because the improvement of Drake May, we know McDaniels' pedigree as an OC. That's his side of the ball. I know Vrabel oversees everything, but it's a little more defense. But they refuse to repost that market, and I don't know why. Adam, I appreciate it as always. We will close this out with best bets and everything else that you need for tonight's game after the break.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said
earlier.
He got hit
behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be, even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, guys, let's close it out here on a Monday night on SportsGrid. We're putting final touches together here on this card. Should be a really, really, I think, fun football game, actually, between the Patriots and the Giants. I will send out a reminder to people. Today is the first day that the ESPN bet app is now the Score bet, and that comes with profit boosts and sign-up bonuses because they want to get you in the door. that is always the best time, I think, to get involved. You know, when they are so happy to have you there, you're gonna get the reward. I know ESPN Bet is gonna go with 100% profit boost today. There's certainly some temptation for me to, you know, be involved over there as well, kind of, you know, figuring out a couple of different numbers. I think there's some things you can play that make sense and work out and jump off this card a little bit here. So I might take, you know, Dart for 2 touchdowns, May for 3 touchdowns, paired along with a Diggs, a Henderson. We'll see. But, you know, these are the different options that are out there right now across a sports book that's just really getting underway. I want to update the live board quickly, and then again, we'll do best bets, primetime producer parlay, and all that good stuff. A lot of NBA tonight, a lot of NBA underway. We are midway through the second quarter of some of the early starts. Pistons, Hawks is tied. Cavs are smashing Indiana right now. I saw something say the Cavs are actually the most bet side on the slate. Looks like it could be a good one then for what would be the public there. Close one early between Milwaukee and Washington in Washington as the Wizards are on the hunt for their 3rd win of the season. Close games early between the Nets and the Hornets in Brooklyn, Orlando trailing the Bulls by 5, and Miami up 4 on the LA Clippers. Didn't talk a lot of ice tonight, but there's still, as always, some action you can play. Devils up on the Blue Jackets 2-1 at the end of the first period. Penguins up 1-0 on the Flyers at the end of the first. Early Buffalo jumping all over the Jets of Winnipeg. That's 2-0, 6 minutes in. Still to come, Blues, Ducks, and then the Sharks and the Mammoth. We mentioned the college basketball board tonight. It is not robust, but it is not empty. Iona up 6 on Delaware, 39-33. Little Philly cooking. That's Nova Temple going on right now. You do have a best bet, though, which is live. Middle Tennessee, UAB. Our guy AJ going to back the Blue Raiders on the Mooney line as he is looking for some college basketball love a day prior to tomorrow's incredible college basketball slate. I'm already excited for tomorrow's show. It should be a good one. Yarnies, Giants over the 2.5. Team sacks, Yarnelli. Really? Interesting. I don't mind it. I've been hearing about this Abdul's Carter. We'll see. I remember when I parlayed him with Ahmed Rosario 2+ hitter on RBI. Rosario did his part. That's all I'm going to say, Abdul's Carter. Oh my gosh! Hold on a second. Time out. Let me see if I can figure this out. Okay. I know everybody missed our guy Lisi today. I'm always, I stay in communication with our guy Joe, and I was telling him I think maybe Drake May, Jackson Dart play well, and I just saw a text that said 1 touchdown each. You never know with this guy. Like, does that mean 1 passing or 1 rushing? Should we take a look? Should we just get eyeballs on it quickly? Hold on. Dart, 260. May, 280. It's 12-1. If I know Lisi, that's not enough. Maybe he'll take each guy for 2. Pats, first half team total. Shout out to the fellas. They said -138. Stick them with it. We're not changing it. I got a screenshot from Mr. Balance. It said -115, so I'm going to have to believe him. You got to respect Casino Chris having the most nicknames in the history of this show. I went total touchdown yardage over 75.5. I said it's a disgrace of a best bet. And I got to say, in the back, every comment was made confirming what I already knew. However, doesn't mean we can't win. Over 75.5. I think there's a lot of passing in this game. These teams are vulnerable to explosives. We're going to be expecting that tonight here. Total touchdown yardage over. Outrageous. 75.5. Primetime producer parlay. Get it in while you can. Pop Douglas, Tyrone Tracy, Trevion Henderson. In-game live is next.